Hello and welcome to the Poorhammer Podcast, episode 146. I'm your host, Brad. This is my co-host, Eric.
How's it going?
And this is once again a Dataslate episode, so we're going to bring the clickbait himself on, Mr. Bricky.
Nice Drukhari, you Now check this out.
I really hope that's more than 7 seconds into the episode.
That's fine. We've been making great monetary decisions lately by giving away t-shirt merchandise. So, what's this one?
All right, we actually have to, do news this week, though, because this screwed up everything by coming out this week. So, before we get into the episode proper, we're doing a news segment, and then we'll say without any further ado, because that will make people on the internet stop complaining that I immediately do further ado after saying without any further ado.
It's part of your charm, but we can try something new.
All right, clever segue, go. Doodaloo, doodaloo. All right, so there was a different episode planned for the week before this one, but then Borrelio edited the trivia episode real quick so that could get out there for all of you. So the episode that had the news for last week didn't go out, and then this week, when it was going to go out, they dropped the data slate, so we need to do news.
This episode is coming out likely early, right, Borrelio?
What day is it? How many hours of sleep has Borrelio had this week? It's less than you might think.
But this would normally be the episode that would release on the 17th.
With that said, on the 24th, we will be releasing an episode with every faction's report card, which was planned to release last week. And then on the 31st, we will be doing every faction serial to cap off the season with our patron-decided episode.
Yeah, it's been fun thinking through them so far.
Then we desperately need a week off, though. So the week of January 7th, there will be no normal episode, and we will be back in action January 14th, probably talking about all the detachments that are coming out right now.
Don't forget that during this whole time frame, especially that week of the 7th, there's going to be bonus content. Maybe some of it will be out there for free patrons, but, if you're at the right tier, you'll have a bunch of bonus content coming out.
Yes. The correct answer is follow us on Patreon to figure out if you can watch any of it for free or if you finally have to pay up. But for patrons out there, you don't have to worry because we already recorded literally 5 hours of dedicated content for you, including a Zoomer tier list, a bunch of game recommendations that we're going to send out before Christmas for any Christmas Steam sale shoppers.
Yeah, a couple more potential ones, but we'll see if we get to it. I think we can.
I think so, but I'm also very tired.
I think that's the news, though.
No, there's one more piece of news, Eric. We have a merch baron with us.
That's true. I was trying to I was going to see how long can we go with Bricky not plugging merch. Can we get to the end?
I gotta be honest, I'm starting to scratch at my scabs at the moment. I think we gotta hurry up.
The sale is over on Orchidate for our merch, and also we're getting off of that website. It's gross. You can now go to Poorhammer.com to get our merch. It's still made through Orchidate and still Bricky's fault if it's screwed up.
It's basically the same thing, just better and easier.
But now you can just type in the Googles, Poorhammer.com, enter, and wow, you're on the site. It's amazing.
I love domains. Whoever made DNS should die, though.
Yeah.
In Minecraft, in real life.
No, I'm gonna kill him.
Sir, the term is Luigi him.
Well, I mean, go to Poorhammer.com then to check out the awesome merch that I sell them. We have hired 6 new employees full-time to handle the VTuber influx. Please help. I need more money, almost more than they do. So go buy all their stuff. The dice is awesome. It's amazing, and it's great. Yay.
All right, with all the news out of the way, it is time for us to actually get into the data slate. So without any further ado, let's jump into this.
Sounds good.
All right, so the data slate is out. I'm really, really happy. They've been making a ton of improvements. Not even talking about the data slate itself, just the points, Bricky, the points. Look.
I'm sorry if I'm going to peek my mic right here, but excuse me. Yes! Fucking finally! They did it! They put the points!
I do enjoy that it is exactly as simple kind of thing. They didn't try to overcomplicate it in some weird way.
What if we just remove some of the dots and we type the number in some parentheses?
Yeah, it is honestly great. It makes things so much easier.
May I take a lead for a half second here?
Go for it. You're never shy.
Well, yeah, she's part of the podcast.
Got him.
Holy fuck.
An interesting thing to note, I think a lot of us are pretty happy with this suite of changes. There's not a lot of them, but the ones that are there kind of go against the usual GW MO with how they've been doing stuff.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about like the angle they went at for some of these changes.
Yes. So, and this is a thing that I've been knowing about for a while, but not to get too into it, but just for the sake of it, Games Workshop hired a new major game director a bit ago, about 9+ months ago. And I had a lot of friends chat with him for quite a long while at one of the tournaments way back when, not down here, somewhere else. And I asked him a little bit about like how are things, like what's the guy like? And his response to me was, I am very hopeful for the future of 40K, the tabletop, and I haven't been able to say that for a long time. They left extremely pleased with what their new person had to say and seemed like it was in genuinely good hands. And based on this, I get a feeling this is one of their first contributions, major contributions to the new, balance, and as well as Grotmus, most likely, and also possibly the leak where a lot of the other books, like the Guard book, was apparently so overpowered they took it out of print and redid it.
Yeah, that one's still very unofficial. We have no idea if that's real, but it is a rumor that has circled around from people leaking stuff.
It follows with what we're seeing, so I think after seeing this data slate, I'm sharing their general sentiment.
Yeah, even if they weren't like, oh, let's start, figuring out Grotmus detachment stuff, and they were just like, let's take existing ideas and put it together and release it like this year as soon as possible kind of thing, that's already a vast improvement from expectations.
And one of the big things was it's not in the data slate. This was an announcement in the article for the data slate. They're moving back to doing data slates every 3 months when they do the Minotaurum Field Manual point update. They're doing it all so that they always have the option available and they can't have we gotta wait 3 more months to fix the problem we know exists.
Yeah, so to go along with that, I am quite excited because if it continues like this, I feel like the name of the game is internal balance with this one.
Yes, that is absolutely what this feels like. Like, I know external balance-wise, there will always be complaints from people who are hyper into the competitive scene right now and are like, I can't believe they nerfed Drukhari randomly. They're like totally mid, and that's very true. But like internal balance-wise overall, so many factions got not every fix they needed, but fixes in general that they needed.
Eric's Chaos Knights are not like good now because of their change, but it's a good change.
I hate Chaos Knights.
You made a PowerPoint about it. My apologies. I got confused.
It was a super high quality one. I feel like if I had more time and I was able to really pitch it, we could have done better than what we got. But like, this is already a start.
Unfortunately, you were up against Tyler and there was no way.
That's true.
All right, shall we start talking about the actual changes then, gentlemen?
Yeah, I guess just get some of the core rule ones out of the way. 3-inch is now 6-inch if you're trying to bring stuff in.
3 inches is the new 6 inches, gentlemen. Finally, she'll be happy with me.
I was going that direction. I wasn't sure when. I wasn't sure if it was too lowbrow, but low-hanging fruit tastes just as sweet.
And, it's supposed to be for like everything that does that. I think they got them all, but like even if they missed one or two, like you should be playing it this way. I mean, it is absolutely a nerf.
It's an asymmetrical nerf too. It nerfs certain things that affect internal balance in certain armies. So like everyone was playing Tau Retaliation Cadre. Retaliation Cadre, when you can no longer do a deep strike within 6, is a lot worse now. Because that's not only outside of Melta range, it's outside of Cadre AP range.
Yeah, and like that was like the reason that you did it. But I can kind of understand that they're not happy with like just being able to bring units in and like steal objectives that easily, essentially. And it is clean to just be like, no, we're drawing the line. 6 inches is what you get for this ability kind of thing. It is easier than being like, oh yeah, my deep strike's 3, my deep strike's 6, mine's 9.
I got a rock.
Yeah. So it is simpler to do it, just blanket everything to this, but it is definitely a nerf.
And the other one is any AP characteristic change, all the Armor of Contempts, whatever you want to call them, but they're Armor of Contempt. All of those are now only for the single attack. They are not for the entire phase anymore.
This is pretty big, actually.
It's actually...
I support this decision. Like, honestly, I do, but it's not going to be all good. There's going to definitely be some things that are like, wow, this is kind of useless.
I'd like to know why, because for the most part, I can't really think of many times where someone popped AOC and I was like, well, this is totally unkillable now.
I think it's so that you don't forget.
Yeah, it might be a memory issue thing.
Like, it's one of those, like, I have this unit attacking that, you used Armor of Contempt, and we're going to go do something else with a different, and now we're back to that, and it's like, oh, I forgot the Armor of Contempt was still on. That is just poor gameplay design kind of thing to be able to, allow that to happen.
I don't know, but I was checking various groups to make sure, I get everyone's opinions on their army, within, their own subreddits and stuff. And the one psychopath who tried to argue that the Space Marine detachment came out 40 minutes after the Dataslate and had the old Armor of Contempt wording, and therefore
yeah,
it takes precedent over this. You, sir, you should be pelted with something, but also, I like the hustle.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of grudging respect for the bullshit. The amount of angle shoot you're trying to put on that one. No, this is another blanket rule of all of the things that do this are now only one attack kind of.
The Deep Strikes is a much bigger change than the Armor of Contempt nerfs, but the Armor of Contempt nerfs hits a lot of popular factions, popular sub-factions, if that makes sense. It will come up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think for people who don't, follow these Dataslate changes quite as frequently, there's going to be a lot of people that just continue playing the old way. And I that's fine. Honestly, if you're not at a tournament, this isn't that big of a change. Fucking whatever.
The AOC change is exactly one of those changes we warn people about of this will not affect the outcome of your casual game for the next year. It will change again before it ever affects the outcome of a casual game if you play this once a month with your buddies in a basement.
There's so many more decisions going on in the game that are vastly more important.
And in this Dataslate that are going to be more important.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of, do we just want to jump right into Sisters then? Because I don't think there was anything else. There was a few cleaning up wordings, and I think there was something about Overwatch, but I didn't really know why it changed. So unless you guys have something, let's just jump right into Sisters.
No one here likes Sisters, right?
No one here does anymore.
I was going to say, it's going to be a rough day if you like Sisters right now, Bricky.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a weirdo, but I don't much like the Sisters' new Codex in 10th. That's not true. I like a lot of the power and a lot of that cool stuff it's got, but I felt like it was too elite. I enjoyed how much crap I got to put on the table in index mode. I think there should be a middle ground. It was a little bit too much crap.
There was a bit too much in the index. It was you are now a horde army and you're expensive as fuck.
Yeah, I like the Codex way more. I mean, balance-wise, no, but from a amount of models you have to purchase with how expensive they are, it's a lot easier to recommend Sisters as hey, you want to play a Space Marine equivalent? Here you go.
Yeah, but Sisters aren't supposed to be elite. They're supposed to be normal, the middle ground. And so they were a little too elite for me. But it was a lot of the fault of Bringers of Flame, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah, so, I mean, to start with, the Miracle Dice you get is once a battle round instead of once a turn. And at the end of the phase, if you lost any units, you get a Miracle Dice, not per unit. And then the Triumph makes it so that the one you get in the battle round is a 6 instead of getting a 6. So they hit Miracle Dice pretty hard.
It's huge. It's half as much, and it's delayed.
Yeah, it's half as much. It's delayed. I mean, you're taking the Triumph, you were getting, if the Triumph was alive the entire game, you were getting 15, and now you're getting 10 with 6 or with 5 6s, and now you're getting basically 5 6s, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's spread throughout the game a little bit more, and this is a massive nerf to Miracle Die. If you're gonna use them, they need to count. It's not just one of those I got some extra, let's just use it.
Yeah, it is a enormous nerf, and that kind of hurts me a little bit because I love Miracle Dice, and I've always thought that it should be here's a crap load more Miracle Dice, there is not as good kind of feel, opposed to Eldar, which are a lot more hey, here's only a few, but they're very good.
Well, until the Codex.
From a lore intent kind of thing. Yeah. Of Sisters get a bunch, but they're not quite as strong, and Eldar have a few, but they're game breaking. That would be cool, but very difficult to balance correctly in the actual game.
Yeah, it makes them different. If you got two Miracle Dice factions, you want them to be different. But then Bringers of Flame also got slapped with a reduction to their range by 6 inches for their main ability. 2 stratagems going up to 2 CP, which is kind of shocking. I feel like they've been really doing less 2 CP strats lately.
They're so bad.
They're really bad.
2 CP for a strat is so bad.
And with the amount of Vex out there, it's even worse. And then they also dropped the range on one of the stratagems as well to 6 inches. They did buff Penitent Hosts. They did what I was hoping they would do, which is, hey, let me choose instead of forcing me.
Absolutely wild that they forced it. Like, it felt like I was reading it wrong when I was like, that can't be. Like, clearly they missed something. It feels like that.
Yeah.
This is just not enough for Penitent Host, unless, like, I guess because Bringers of Flame is slapped so fucking hard, maybe Penitent Host is okay.
I think Penitent Host is still, it was already all right. It's not like it was true dumpster fire.
That's true.
Like, it was okay. We'll get to the one that got the biggest glow up later on. But I think this one is actually like a solid pick now, as opposed to like being a for fun, once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
I mean, no detachment is like under a 48% or something. Like they're all in acceptable ranges. But I think, and I'm very biased on this one, but I feel like I could have gone with the Bringers of Flame slap and not slapped the Miracle Dice rule. If anything, I would be okay with slapping the Triumph, keep the Triumph thing in check. But the 2 things to the Miracle Dice, like you're getting like a third, like genuinely like a third of the amount. If you lose at all 2 units in one phase, you're already having your output of Miracle Dice. 3 even worse.
I mean, it's pretty rare that you fuck up bad enough to use 3 in one phase, but it is possible. It is absolutely possible. And when that happens, it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt real bad. And, sometimes continued combat, you can get some moments, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's tough because, like, I like the Triumph where it's at right now of, like, there's a reason to pick it. It's kind of good, but it's also not necessary to make Miracle Dice work kind of thing. Because, like, they could have done that where it's like they just nerfed the shit out of Miracle Dice and Triumph still has gain a 6 every turn kind of thing. But it's tough to say how Sisters are actually going to do after this because it's so massive.
Yeah.
Players are absolutely going to have to rethink how they use Miracle Dice at the very least, though. When you decide you need to use it versus, I need to hold on to that because it doesn't actually matter that much at the moment.
Honestly, I think it might be too much. I don't like it from like a fun perspective. I like my Miracle Dice. I think they're enjoyable for me, not them, but for me. But Bringers, I don't know. I feel like Bringers of Flame is like this stain where all the other 3 factions are decent, but they're not too much. And Bringers is just there, like making it ridiculous. So we'll see. If this is what it needs, then it's what it needs. But I'm hoping they maybe adjust the Miracle Dice regular generation. But I'm still okay with the Triumph getting hit.
Do you think Bringers is like actually still going to be used? Like 6 inches is nothing.
I don't even think it's the 6 inches. I think it's the assault. I mean, mobility wins games. Especially when you can get your shots off.
That's true.
And you can move that quick. I feel like it might not be used. I know Martyrs is got some play, and I don't know about Army of Faith, but honestly, I'm in a giant question mark. I have no clue where Sisters will end up, and I think the only thing that will tell me is data.
Just actually play games and see what happens.
Yeah. Custodes?
Custodes is having quite the good Christmas.
Yeah, I feel like we can have a little bit more of a solid understanding of what's going to happen with Custodes and Sisters, because bikes are back on the menu.
Yeah, and their detachment they just got was already great. When you combine it with the fact that, like, the thing that we talked about on the Christmas Wish episode was, man, it'd be nice if there was a detachment to make the bikes not shit. And they were like, what if we just fixed the bikes?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have your fun Dreadnought detachment, but we'll also fix your bikes. Also, can I point this out? In the Dataslate, prior rule changes are highlighted in green, and the new ones are in red.
Which helps a lot.
You could still tell, like, this was the thing that was changed before. Here's the new red ones. Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. No, it is actually really nice. There's still some record keeping that gets a little messy. I'm looking at Orks for a few of their iterations that have been happening, but this is a great step kind of thing. And if this is as good as it gets, I can live with it. Just don't go backwards, please.
Yeah, genuinely great though. Up a toughness for the bikes, up a wound for the bikes, make their bolters the same.
The guns are insane. The bolters got an AP and a fucking damage.
The salvo launcher got a buff to the strength, the AP, damage from D3 to D6 plus 1, and it gained twin linked.
Yes.
It gained fucking twin linked. That's insane, okay? It's gonna be so fucking fun to use.
They did eat a point nerf for this, but it's totally worth it. Like, it is so worth it to have the bikes actually be good and cost a couple more points.
Yeah, it was like 10 points, 15 points, and like 20 points for the character. Nothing compared to what we're gaining with the toughness, the wounds, and these guns.
Technically, their ability now works on a normal move, not just advanced, but whatever.
No, you say whatever. That's huge.
That matters. I mean, you have a 3-man unit. You just fly over them. That's just 6 mortals, like right out the gate. Before it was only an advance or whatever, and now it's a normal move. So yeah, like before you can soften things up really well.
And it led you into, like, especially for newer players or players who haven't played the army quite as much, you would likely make a poor decision of advancing when you shouldn't have, kind of thing, just because, like, I want to do the ability. And it's like, well, no, a normal move would work better right now. So it's nice that, like, don't worry about it kind of thing. Huge, honestly, that the bikes are fixed and we also got detachment stuff that's pretty fun.
Yeah, what a huge glow up. Like, just like, hey, the bikes are bad. Points, who needs them? Just fix them. Make them what you think they're going to be.
And in AdMech, the robots are bad. So clearly, to fix the internal balance that they did for everyone else, they're going to fit. Oh.
I mean, down 10 points for 2 models, 20 for 4 models. That's enough, right?
Why do you hate robots so much? What did robots ever do to the British Isles?
8th edition.
Yeah.
I know. I was the one playing against it, and I still love those fuckers doing the Wrath of Mars.
Oh, Wrath of Mars. God.
Dude, Wrath of Mars, the dread you would feel when you heard your opponent say, all right, Wrath of Mars, and then grab 36 fucking dice, and you're like, I'll just remove the unit.
Exactly. It was just like, I'll just pick the unit up. I don't need
19 mortal wounds, sir. I'm okay.
I understand what's happened. It's happened before.
For the rest of my life, I will remember fucking sending my Lich Guard in when we were new players, sending my Lich Guard in against my opponent, our buddy, and he was like, all right, so I'm saving on a 3-up, 6s reflect. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean 6s reflect?
I love that ability, though. It's one of my favorite abilities.
I have always loved it. I think that one is underutilized. That moment is like just cemented to me as one of the greatest. What the fuck do you mean 6s reflect?
That can't be real, right?
I do need more of those, but I mean, I think AdMech is literally, well, I was going to say it's a more data required type situation. That's why there weren't many changes. But then they also gave them the next most disgusting detachment I've seen, and it looks horrifying to me, but it also looks incredibly fun to play and dynamic and interesting. So I'm torn.
All right.
Eldari got nothing.
Yeah, Eldari get a codex in like a few weeks or month, maybe, whatever. So
I mean, you say that, but like Guard is also getting theirs, and they have changes.
Guards might be preemptive because of the codex, though.
Right? Like, so it doesn't mean that just because you're getting a codex very soon that, like, it'll get ignored.
So speaking of Guard, Bricky, do you want to cry more?
Not really, actually. I've always kind of hated Lord Solar's requirement.
I'm torn because, like, on the one hand, I agree with you. I don't like when you must take your named character to make your faction function. But on the other hand, it's like, what's the point of ever trying to make a Baneblade work? Why can tank commanders not just order, or just give Baneblade squadrons so that, like, you can at least try to make a tank list still? With a Baneblade, you can clearly make a tank list. But with a Baneblade,
I was like, you can obviously make a tank list. Like, they're even giving you more tank commanders.
Ironically, I feel like we're catching the Baneblade's catching a nerf, not because of the Baneblade, but like because of Bulgrin and those things, you know, which just kind of sucks for that reason, obviously. But no, I mean, like, Lord Solar was too good, and I'm annoyed by that. And him getting nerfed is fine. I don't mind it. I'm very much like a combined arms Andy. I like my chimeras and my Russes and my occasional drop troops. And then like Aquilons got the nerf that was already kind of there, but I guess that's just solidified because they were stupid, really stupid.
And it's part of a multi-nerf of the stupid state they launched in.
Yeah. It was also because you would rapid ingress them 3 inches and block charges, which was very annoying.
I think that this is actually one of the reasons why we have the core saying 3 inches isn't happening. You get 6 now. I like that Lord Solar didn't like do something weird and it's just like, okay, you only get to issue the orders to these units, as opposed to being like, we're gonna fuck with how you can issue 3 orders in like a weird way kind of thing. It means that like you'll still use them, but it's not just, oh, auto take because it works no matter what kind of thing. You have to actually build a list with him having a reason.
Yeah, I mean, he also caught a points nerf, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I guess it was 25. I thought it was a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, I guess we can kind of back and forth the points in the data slate. It might be a good idea.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about point-wise in this one. Some stuff got nerfed, some got buffed, but it's very light compared to the actual data slate, which is doing a lot of the heavy lifting of, like, making factions feel better internally.
Yeah, like, Sisters got ups on the Castigator and the Exorcist, both very deserved. Stodes got their jet bikes up to match with their nerfs, totally makes sense. Admech got their robots down, brother, I don't know. And then Eldar...
I mean, they need something.
Yeah.
This is like the Band-Aid.
Eldar, no changes, new codex. But Guard, yeah, I mean...
all over.
Aquilon's up 20. Ogren's went up 10 for the 6-man for God knows why. Gaunt's Ghost went up 10, and I'll be honest, I can't believe it took him that long.
I remember you saying that before, because I was like, Gaunt's Ghost. Oh, right. Bricky was like, yeah, this is not quite costed correctly.
Yeah. Gaunt's Ghosts are like one of my favorite objective play models, I think, in the entire game. And so they finally got the 10 points that they needed because, like, yeah, it's one of those at the end of your opponent's turn, if they're not within engagement range, just remove them and then set them up 9 inches.
That's good fun, dude.
Yeah. And they're also lone op infiltrators. Like, they got everything.
Yeah. They're fun.
They are very fun.
And I don't think this 10 points is going to stop that fun kind of thing.
I'll be totally honest. The one that I'm the most like, yep, was the Chimera. The Chimera was being 70 points for what it had was like outstanding.
Does seem kind of cheap. So 85 is probably still doable, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, a Chimera is T9, 11 wounds, 3 up save, and it has a multi-laser, heavy bolter, a lasgun array, and an additional heavy bolter / whatever. Oh, no, wait. So it would be 2 heavy bolters if you ran it that way, a lasgun array, a hunter killer missile, and a heavy stubber. And then you have firing deck 2 and you slap like catechins in it, and then they scout 6. And then for 70 points, it's like whoosh.
Yeah. No, that's 85 seems reasonable.
Yeah, Guard got a hit, but I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be fine. They just nerf some of their more like crazy things. They nerf some of their drop troops and stuff, but I think they'll be okay. I think they just won't be the best army in the game because they basically were.
All right, before we move on to Blood Angels and Black Templars, let's just do all Space Marines at the end together because it's a very big discussion. Let's hit everybody else first.
All right, then Chaos Knights.
So Chaos Knights, this is official. Games Workshop watches our podcast day it releases, and they make balanced decisions based off of Eric's PowerPoints. So next week, Eric is going to be making a PowerPoint slideshow about Grey Knight hammers and Psychic.
Yeah, I've got some things I gotta whip up together in that whole PowerPoint.
So Chaos Knights, as Eric joked about, literally last weekend, they just attempted to fix Chaos Knights army rule, Harbingers of Dread, by making it so that your Doom and Darkness happens on turn 1, not turn 3. So now, each time a model makes an attack, if the target is battle shocked, you get to add 1 to the wound roll, and if they're shooting you, then subtract 1 to hit.
It's just clean.
Yeah, that used to have to wait till turn 3 to make your army rule start mattering. Now it actually happens at the beginning of the game for the rare chance that you actually properly battle shock a bunch of stuff to care.
Yeah, I was like this doesn't make the ability amazing, but it just makes it like clean and easy. You don't have to like, oh, what turn is it? Does my ability do anything?
They did also fix up our enhancement now.
Well, because one of the enhancements was just Doom and Darkness happens at the start. So it would have been pretty shit if they didn't make a new one.
It is really nice now because now it's literally just point and click movement phase. Every turn you can do this. Just make something take a battle shock test.
Yeah, and now the Knight Abominate will be very, very good because it makes things people take a battle shock test, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe you.
I like, as much as we meme about battle shock tests not mattering, it's nice to just be able to be like, that one, make a test, and if it fails, you're fucked kind of thing.
And this is, if you're going to make battle shock based detachments and armies,
You have to have something like this.
you have to go whole ass.
Yeah.
You cannot half-ass this. It is a bad mechanic. You have to pump those numbers to make it worth. So yeah, in general, very nice changes for Chaos Knights. I don't think it's enough to really move the needle, but it'll at least make playing them not feel so awful all the time. Still no reason not to just pick a shitload of War Dogs, but that's a different story.
Well, especially because points went down.
Yeah, they brought the points down.
We're at 130 points for a War Dog, dude.
Why?
Okay, so technically here, as the Chaos Knight guy, all the good War Dogs, the good War Dog list changed 0 points. It's just the ones that you weren't taking got cheaper, but like, you're just taking 13 disgusting War Dogs.
I mean, yes, likely, but these point drops mean that you might actually take a big knight.
No, because it doesn't... It's a whole... I'm not going to have us take 20 minutes on Chaos Knights.
Yeah, I have the same understanding of like 10 points doesn't matter in a list when your minimum point thing is 130 points. But, I mean, there's the whole soup stuff going on, especially for Chaos Knights.
Well, when we get to the detachment episode, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but like it's also just weird that they went down in points.
So, Chaos Space Marines, Bricky, back to you.
Dread Talon Detachment got nerfed. We're so back, baby. Night Lords are lore accurate. Let's go. It's just a 6-inch thing. It's nothing actually, no real nerf. Also a thing to note, every single person's Predator Annihilator got the change to reroll the damage roll instead of rerolling a damage roll of 1, which I'm very okay with because that was very specific and kind of stupid. But
Whatever.
you know,
I don't think it really matters. Like, it's obviously good, but
It's going to be hilarious when you're like, a 2, I'll re-roll it. Fuck.
yeah, it always happens. But no, I mean, genuinely, CSM got barely anything. Their bikers went down 10 for the max squad, and that's literally it.
oh yay, I get to play those bikers. Woo, love those models.
I feel like they saw it and they were like, well, we can't like change nothing. So they just went ahead and threw that in there. I don't know. I feel like Chaos Space Marines are going to benefit from changes elsewhere from other armies and less so about themselves. So I don't know. I mean, they seem like they're mostly in a somewhat decent spot. Raiders are really good. And I think it's just a little bit too vehicle heavy for me at the moment, but I don't really know what they would have done, honestly. So
Yeah, they seem like they're in a fine enough spot that maybe it's best that they didn't fiddle with anything and fuck stuff up.
Bricky, ask the Tzeentch Demon guy how he feels about the Screamer changes.
are you the Tzeentch Screamer guy?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you feel about the Tzeentch Screamer changes?
This changes nothing, but also it's pretty nice.
I absolutely disagree. Dude, it's got anti-monster vehicle 4-ups.
Okay, so Screamers, I did my rant when we talked about them for the 10th edition index. They were the worst fucking execution of a model datasheet I had ever seen. Screamers were a melee trade piece that was ultra frail, that you fired like a missile at something to kill it, and they hit on a fucking 4-up.
Yeah, now they're a 3-up.
So now they actually can hit something, so they can hit the broadside of a barn finally. And yes, the anti-monster, anti-vehicle makes them actually more well-rounded for like slicing stuff up.
And it means that you can point them like a missile at a monster or vehicle and expect it to do something.
Very nice, because Tzeentch doesn't have any real melee threats that matter, where the shooting faction is stuck in the index Chaos Demons, aka the other 3 are melee, so it's melee focused, all about that deep strike. But it's fine. I can't say playing Screamers is why I'm playing Tzeentch, but at the same time, they're a dope ass model, so like them being remotely playable is a nice change. Even if they ate a point nerf to do it, that's fine, because they were unfucking playable.
Yeah, I think the fact that they went up 10 or 20 points depending on 36 models is perfectly reasonable, given that they are actually good in melee to do something, specifically for an army that kind of needs it. I don't think you're going to be taking too many Screamers if you aren't Tzeentch focused. But yeah, it's nice. I guess Bloodletters went down in points a little bit.
We're trying to find the floor for Bloodletters.
We'll get there.
Slight nitpick here. The extra attacks on the Fate Skimmer still hit on 4s, and they don't have it. And they're called Screamer Bites. Damn them.
I mean, yeah, extra attacks are never really a thing, but
Death Guards. Mortarion as Deep Strike.
Yeah, that's the end of it.
I mean, the Annihilator we already talked about, and points was nothing. Shockingly honest.
They're good. They're actually pretty good now. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're in a really good spot right now. So Death Guard won by being basically ignored with a nice little bonus from Morty. Drukhari. So what did Skari say to a Games Workshop employee to insult them so badly?
Oh, nothing. He just beat them.
He just showed them how good Drukhari is.
Bro, why? We weren't even good.
You got Rax points decrease.
The thing is, though, is that like I think it's definitely visually weird because 6 mans of grotesque going up 10, like kind of a niche case.
We weren't even playing them.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, okay, Scourges going up 10 I will never complain about because I hate Scourges with every fiber of my being.
Scourges is part of the soup issue of literally anyone will just take Scourges if they have access to them because Dark Lances.
And jump, shoot, jump Dark Lances.
Void Raven Bomber is the most petty shit. Holy fuck.
I'm not going to lie, man. I've been on the other side of the table of the Void Raven Bomber and it mulched me.
It's a remotely playable plane. It's not even good. It's just, kind of playable. You could put it on a battlefield and someone would be like, wow, that might do something this game.
No, Brad, this is 10th edition. It deserves worse. Keep going with those points.
12 shots at 842 plus the missiles. It hurts a lot, man. Also, it's the fact that people forget about aircraft and how they ignore obscuring entirely. So, like, you don't, if the aircraft can see you, it can shoot you. And that's some pretty nasty firepower to get hit by if you get first turn or something.
Yeah, I was like, there's so many more caveats on how aircraft work. But that one does have enough guns that it's like, oh, it fires a volley once and it's probably made its points up.
Yeah. And you power from paying it, so you're going to get the full rerolls, and
I think the real one is Scourges, the 5-man went up 10, and that's going to annoy people that we're trying to abuse. But Genestealers.
Oh boy, are we all ready to talk about the 15th iteration of Cult Ambush? Next time on Dragon Ball Z, it will transform again. This time it's going to fusion dance.
Is this the best form of Cult Ambush? I think written, maybe. I think the numbers could be better.
Oh, okay. Balance-wise, this is the easiest one to fix later. So in that way, yes. I really liked the index version before the nerfs, but I'm also a psychopath.
You wanted to play Casino Genestealer Cults.
Yeah.
Let's go!
And be like, hey, well, here's 60 more models because I rolled okay.
But no, this is the proper one. So for those who don't know, the army rule changed. You now get resurgent points depending on how big of a game you're playing. For Strike Force, it's 10 of them. And then all of the normal units that were going to come back from your Cult Ambush anyway cost resurgence points to bring back. So it's a static cost depending on the size of the starting unit. So like Aberrants, 5 models is 5 points, 10 models is 8 points, etc. It goes all over the place. This means that now they've got levers that they can pull on so that they can balance things like actually internally correctly without mutilating this rule every time they're trying to figure out how to fix Genestealers.
I love levers. I've been wanting levers so much. Or they got the levers. Their levers are bad, though. Their levels are rusty. They're broken. There's not enough of them, but they got levers.
Yeah, this is, from a design spot, a good iteration because they can continue to tweak it and not in a, let's just, gamble and see what the fuck happens.
Now, the real thing is like going 10 resurgence points and just spamming the 5 models for metamorphs or acolytes over and over 5 times.
I was gonna bring that up. That's not gonna be fun.
That's like the obvious correct answer.
I mean, likely.
And then you've got the pure strain. Like if you're playing Muscle Beach, you're playing pure strains, aberrants, and metamorphs, right? If you're playing all of those together, you're probably never going to use it on the aberrants, but the threat is there. So they're like, oh, do I want to kill his aberrants on turn 2? He could actually bring them back.
Right, like he hasn't wasted enough points yet. He could do it.
And you might spice them by like suiciding your Genestealers into a couple units to mulch their units. And then they're like, well, I can kill all the Genestealers since they're on their farm farming up their hybrids right now. But like if I kill those, they get a new heat-seeking missile.
Yeah, it adds dynamic.
The actual way that they come in is basically the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything there.
So to explain current called ambush, it puts them into strategic reserves. Importantly, they do not start the game there because they got called ambushed there during the game. So that means if you kill them on your first turn, they can cult ambush in on their first turn. They don't have to follow strategic reserves, not first turn rule, because that's about starting the game there. So this is a very adaptable, not deep strike, but reserves.
Am I crazy? Do they up the range of all the demolition charges?
Yes, they did. And I love demo charges. It's like the part of the Genestealer's identity I like of just chucking satchel charges at people and watching them explode. I am A-okay with an upgrade so that when they deep strike, they can actually throw their satchels like they're supposed to. Because that's their whole thing, is supposed to be popping out of the sewer grates and chucking satchel charges at you.
I mean, they still have to move.
Yeah, I was about to say that they can't do it unless you're doing the 6-inch one, because it's 8 inches, but yeah.
Correct. But the point is, like, they have their 6-inch deep strike abilities, and
yeah, they've got a strat that lets you do it. But like by default, it's not an auto, oh, we changed it to 10 inches so that whenever they come back, they can throw them. 8's a good one. 8's far enough that you'll be able to do your thing, but
yeah, if you use tunnel crawlers or whatever, then you can still throw your satchels.
My brain says it's not enough resurgence points, but I don't know.
It's a mix. I think the real answer is less, is it enough resurgence points? And it's, if you count up how many free points you get over a game between the different types, it's wildly different.
I think that's the real problem, is the internal balance on this particular iteration is going to be kind of fucked.
And it's fine, because the whole point is, like, this is now fixable. Now all they have to do is go, okay, aberrants can go down a point and go down an extra point for 10, or go up a point for 10 because it got used that way too much, or whatever.
Or like we start at 8 or 12 or whatever.
I guarantee you the min squad size metamorphs and acolytes does not stay at 2 points most likely.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. But
the balance will get figured out. But basically, from what a lot of people were checking the math on, it's like 300 extra points.
It's pretty good, especially because it's guaranteed and you get to use it when needed.
Yeah, it depends on what you choose and how you build your list.
Yeah, and it's also, like you were bringing up, there's a threat. You don't have to use it on every single one. Like, if it's like, oh, yeah, I don't give a shit about that aberrant coming back right now, I just need more bodies kind of thing, then yeah, which is a power of its own kind of thing. They did also properly fix the deeds that speak to the masses enhancement. So that was previously you reroll the cult ambush. Now they give you 2 additional resurgence points. Probably will be used, honestly. It seems pretty strong.
I would totally do it.
I already think that's everyone's favorite detachment anyway, so.
Yeah.
We'll see what the new GSC one is when it comes out.
That's true. I'm very excited. This is a great month.
No, this is fantastic. The Genestealer Cult Army rule is still good, has its options, its availability, and it's still fluffy. And often the more you make something with a bunch of levers that is more balanced, it often becomes less fluffy, less fun. This is not less fluffy. The army concept is still there. It just relies on less feel-bads.
They also ate a point increase on Abominate, 20 points. And Achilles Ridge Runners went up 10 or 20.
Okay, Ridge Runners are still the first thing you put in a list in the Codex right now.
They're so good.
I feel like Abominate up 20 doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know enough, I guess. Maybe it was pretty auto take.
I think aberrants are sweet as hell. I think GW has very mixed opinions on aberrants. But anyway, Grey Knights, get fucked. You got a really good detachment, so you don't get anything else.
Nemesis Dreads went up by 5. I don't
Get
give
fucked.
shit. I literally don't care. Like, 5 points is nothing for that model.
Got a really good detachment.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty fun sounding too, and quite a bit different than what our index was.
Imperial agents, it's just the update for the deep strike.
Technically, Vindicare Assassin went down.
Imperial Knights got nothing. Leagues got nothing.
Imperial Knights again got their Armigers down points.
Leagues got their Brokir Thunderkin down like 5 and 10, which is cool, I guess.
Necrons, baby.
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
Hello? Yes? This is the Hypercrypt Nerf line speaking. I'd love to take your call.
Mr. President, a 400th nerf has hit the Hypercrypt Legion.
Mr. President, the Catan are up again.
Not the Deceiver.
Not the Deceiver.
Banana Man.
Mr. President, Necron warriors are down.
They're fucking 9 points. A 10-man in an arc is 5 more points than just taking a 20-man.
But like, yeah, so more importantly,
The real news, none of that crap.
Yeah.
Annihilation Legion has been fixed. Partially. But the big thing is you now add the paragraph each time a destroyer cult unit in your army makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible target. Add 1 to the armor penetration characteristic of that attack. It works on the other half of the models that are destroyers. GW, remember to check the codex.
and now in fairness, most of the stratagems and stuff are related to melee,
I know, it's still, that's why it's not totally fixed.
but Locust Heavy Destroyer with the infantry gun stonks are a little up right now.
I think it's fine that like the strats are very focused on one part, so long as the army rule is still working.
It's not a total blank.
Yeah, like you still get a reason to play those models, and like they are a part of that type of list, and it was fucking stupid that they didn't get anything. I mean, 1 AP is pretty nice, but you do have to target the closest eligible. So like it's not just flat, like you have to do positioning.
Also, I do very much enjoy the fact that like a lot of the gun ones, like dude, Hexmark Destroyers is strength 6 AP 3 on those pistols. Yeah, it hurts.
He coincidentally went up in points.
Yeah, he did. I do like that they kind of reverted some of their nerfs prior, though, that they changed up Hypercrypt, and I love that. But I also did feel like some of the things just felt a little bit, tuned weirdly. Like the Plasmancer was really pricey, and then there's the smaller squad of Immortals and that kind of stuff, and it's actually a lot of buffs.
My thing is, like, I'm not taking 5 Immortals. I'm not usually taking 10 Warriors either, but the Ghost Arc with the Warriors is actually kind of nice right now. But the big one is Wraiths went down, baby. And Eric knows how much I love throwing Wraiths across the board.
That's true.
Wraiths did go down.
Very annoying with that.
But do any of us really care? Because none of these are vehicles, and the new Necron detachment is outstandingly good.
It is fun to have Mephra back, and I can't believe I didn't even think of it when we were talking. I was focused on my meme that I wanted. Mephra was such a good pick to use. So yeah, I'm really happy with Necron detachments right now. Still wish it had launched looking like it does right now, but I'll take it.
It is hell of a lot better.
And should be in an actual reasonable spot. Internal and external balance, I'm thinking, is pretty decent.
I'm stoked.
All right, Eric, it's time for Orks. Tell us all about every Ork's favorite thing right now.
Is it?
I mean, I haven't found a single person who isn't celebrating the WA being fixed.
Okay, the WA is now at the start of your command phase, not start of battle round, and lasts until your command phase, so, you're not losing out.
Yeah, you don't lose anything, but now you don't get to tell your opponent if they went first, like, hey, I'm WAing this battle round, so that they have the full turn if they went first to fix everything up to minimize your WA.
But at the same time, you also can't use it defensively, which was a legitimate thing to do.
It's such a non-orky way to be using it, though.
Absolutely, the change to WA is more thematic, completely. But it is one of those, it's a bit of a side grade because you did lose out a valuable tool of using it defensively.
I think it is more upgrade than downgrade by a long shot. I think the going second problems outweighed it way more.
I'm 60-40.
Yeah, I kind of disagree, but the fact that you can't really fuck up the WA anymore, you can't just, oh shit, I forgot to call the WA kind of thing.
You'll find a way. Don't worry, bud. I trust you.
That's true. But it's always one of those, it's the opponent's turn. I'm good. Let's go. Do your thing. I'm going to go get a drink. Whatever. And then you're like, fuck, I meant to call the WA. And now it's well, it's my turn. I'm going to call the WA. Obviously. I want to move forward. So yeah, it is a better rule, but it's not strict upgrade.
Also, the big hunt got better.
Yes, which I like, but Eric doesn't, so.
No, it's fine. And honestly, this is a huge...
No, I'm saying as a detachment, not that I'm aware that you're not fuck the big hunt, but I'm the one who likes this detachment. And it got the thing that I had wanted, which is adding character to the list. So now you're definitely going to have hunt targets. Even if they don't bring monsters or vehicles, you're never at a 0.
And more to the point, if they have one monster or vehicle, it's not like, did the thing once, cool, now I don't have a rule. Because like it was Warlord, monster or vehicle. That's like a decent amount of lists, you'll be fine. But there are enough that it's like, oh, you get 1 or 2. Great, that was kind of a waste. With character, it opens up a lot more for you to actually take advantage of.
Most units you want to target are character units because they put a character to buff the unit. But yeah, the stratagem getting an upgrade too for Dat one's even bigger.
So previously, you had to target the prey to be able to do anything. Now you still get advance and charge, and if it's prey, you get to reroll the charge. So that's just a straight buff.
I still, for what it's worth, don't think Big Hunt becomes better than several other detachments. But now it's not so embarrassing compared to them, which is like part of what I feel like this is really doing well with this data slate is making sure that you want to take all your detachments in your codex, not you AdMech, so that you actually have some choice when you like put your list together and figure out what you want to play for the week.
Yeah, this definitely helps the internal balance of Orks. And yeah, the War Boss and Mega Armor went up 10 points. That's fine. The War Boss and Mega Armor is kind of weird at 90. It's fine. But yeah, the War Boss definitely needed to go up.
Yeah, War Boss was good.
Then there was just a couple things like Gazes and, the Bully Boys detachment, so it fixes the Wah.
Orks did get something. It's not technically in the data slate. Today they dropped the Tank Busters, the new Kill Team one.
They look so good.
They look really good. Pray for that shooting detachment for Orks. It's going to be hilarious if that works.
The models look super fucking cool.
They're 2 wounds. The rocket launches actually look like they'll do some damage output on average. Actually funny that one of them gets to dual wield rocket launches.
As is proper. Tau, fuck the tiger shark apparently.
It's all play, kill it.
Yeah, plus 50 points. That's all you get.
Thousand Suns were being ignored. It's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Tyranids! This one is one we talked about. The Harvester detachment that I was complaining about. There's like 2 fucking Harvesters in this book, and we got a brand new model called an Assimilator. Why is it not a Harvester? They fixed it. The detachment does more. You no longer have to be on an objective that you own to actually do the regen thing. They just can do that. You regen 1 more if you're actually doing it. And Norn Assimilator is a Harvester.
Wait, I didn't actually notice that. That wasn't the objective. You just have like a better reanimation that it's like targeted.
It's not a terrible detachment now. It really was bad, but now it's not bad.
Wow. And also, the Norns went down.
Yes.
The Assimilator is 275.
And the Assimilator is now like kind of fun to try to do Assimilation Swarm and play a bunch of Assimilators in a slant list and have funny haha times.
So, as we had brought up previously, you only had Haruspecs, Psychophages, Pyrovores, and Ripper Swarms.
And Ripper Swarms don't count. They were just there to be a healer for something because they technically triggered this.
And that's not enough models to put together a full list. So, like, adding Norn Assimilator here, 1, gives you enough that you can, like, properly play this, but also it gives you some options and a bit of fun. And that D3 plus 1 is actually, I think that's going to be massive compared to just D3 healing.
Yeah, and the Assimilator is good offensively, but the Norn Emissary is like an unkillable giant, which you could throw in this detachment and just keep healing it.
Yeah, I mean, you put that thing on an objective, it's got a 5 but feel no pain, and it has an OC of 15.
It's 15. I know it's not like don't try, but 15 is quite impressive.
It's a lot. Also, there's that hilarious enhancement where one of the Tyranids models can regen their unit twice per phase. So like a walking hive tyrant with this, regenning 2d3 plus 2 wounds a turn if there's like anything near them is just like infuriating. It's cool. I like it a lot. And then of course the Trigon got the change, but no, genuinely, I mean, it's a detachment that did not see play and it got a buff and it got a meaningful buff.
Yeah, it's not even that it was a buff. It's that they fixed the fact that there was no reason you would want to run it. Now you're like, ooh, I want to try it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the most popular one because there still isn't that much list building that you can do. It's kind of railroaded, but...
I mean, it's the fact that, like, the regeneration isn't for the unit. It's for any unit within 6.
Any nearby. It turns them all into medics.
So, I mean, you're thinking, like, Ripper Swarms. Like, I would Ripper Swarm because I could just hide them behind walls and heal things a ton, you know? I don't know. I kind of like it. I want to see. I don't know if it'll be good, but it might it might have some legs.
It'll definitely be fun to at least try, and that's kind of the important thing about internal balance. Let's round off with World Eaters before we circle back to Space Marines.
All right, we're done with World Eaters.
So the Demon Prince is basically just getting an FAQ, but they needed to like properly do it. It was previously giving a 4-up invuln if they had a 6-up invuln, because it was basically saying if you have an invuln, instead give it a 4-up. Whereas the intent is instead of giving it a 5-up when it already has a 5-up, you give it a 4-up.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's an FAQ, but like this is the way to do it, really, because it's a change.
All right, before we get into the main Space Marines, real quick for all the other ones. Blood Angels, you got nothing technically, but we'll get back to you in a minute. Black Templars, Crusader squads got armor penetration on their combat knife profile, whatever. You also got the same change that Space Marines proper got of your special snowflake repulsor executioner now carries 7 dudes.
Yeah, I guess it matters, but does it?
It does. 6-blade guard in the Judiciary or something like that.
Deathwatch, you're just happy you have an index again. Shut up for right now.
That's about right, actually.
Space Wolves, you got your Wolf Scouts got an armor pen on their combat knives.
And the Wolf Scouts and Wolfen went up 5 and 10 points.
All right, so the two that matter is Dark Angels proper and then Space Marines that affects everybody, including those we just hit real quick. Dark Angels, Lionel Johnson's sweep profile is damage 2. He does something. He's a real model.
It's like a real guy.
I actually just like did not know that he had damage 1.
No, his problem was he like did nothing.
Yeah, no, I knew that like he was like nothing. That's why he was so cheap in points. Now he's actually above 300 again. But like, I don't know, man. I feel like they could have done a little bit more for him.
I mean, that does double his damage in a lot of cases in that sweep, which is pretty nasty. I do agree. I don't know if he deserves to go back up 30, but it is something. Though I will say the full advance, shoot, and charge for all of the Black Knights, at first I was like, yeah, Master of Maneuvers, whatever, not the craziest thing for the Deathwing detachment. No. Yes. Wait. Is it? Why am I going crazy? Raven detachment. Sorry.
Oh, what did you call them?
Deathwing.
That's the cooler wing, to be fair.
It is a cooler wing, but you know the Raven wing now have advanced shoot and charge, and they adjusted the enhancements and the like, and they gave their Black Knight combat weapons dev wounds, which is cute. It's only 1.
I think that's big.
It's 1 damage, and they only get 3 attacks each.
But they were like useless before. Now you can actually expect them to do something.
You are right. It is a little extra bit, but a lot of the other mounted stuff matters later.
Yeah. So that more or less wraps up the Dark Angel specific stuff as Samael got a buff.
Samael adds 1 to advance and charge rolls.
Don't buy that model. It's hideous.
They could already advance shoot and charge. It gets them a little bit better, but like...
Okay, so for all of these, Space Marines proper has you covered with a bunch of stuff, but more importantly, you know how we were like, maybe they'll just make it where you can't play all the Space Marine detachments with your Blood Angel models or whatever. They chose a different route that's way spicier.
Yeah, I think it is the correct way of doing it, honestly.
Bricky, do you want to tell the audience at home what Space Marines has won?
Hey, if you're someone who wants to run your fun Imperial Fist whatever, or your Iron Hands whatever, or some whatever White Scars, like an actual, and be true to your faction, you get +1 to wound on your Oaths of Moment, as well as the rerolls to hit, which is not nothing.
That's a lot.
It's pretty good. It gives you an actual reason, as opposed to just like, I picked the best things and then the best detachment, and I don't really care about flavor. Now you have a reason to actually play the non-fancy snowflakes.
Not saying that these Ultramarine stonks are going through the roof after the sales of Space Marine 2. What I am saying is this new Oaths of Moment combined with Bobby G's ability to pick 2 of his abilities, which means he gets to double up Oaths and probably get free strats and stuff, is pretty spicy.
One of his other abilities also like the get an OC.
One of them is the 2 Oaths. The other one is, a 6-inch aura of +1 OC, but also re-rolling battle and leadership tests. And the third one is pick a unit within 12, reduce the CP cost of it by 1. So basically an additional version of your free CP type thing, but in a different area and a different wording, so you can do it as well as...
All right. So yeah, that'll be the default, and then sometimes the OC one will matter.
Maybe. And considering the fact that you pick it during during your command phase, that would be the time you would pick it, because then you can flip an objective. But getting Oaths of Moment twice is what you're going to be picking every time.
Yeah, that is the correct one. And then I guess, yeah, you probably will use the CP strat one.
The CP one is definitely the second pick by default, and then OC will be the rare one.
Either way, the fact that he gets to choose two of them now is like, oh, wow, I get something in additional to the Oaths of Moment option.
Well, one of the big things also, because a lot of people love their little special characters, and all the little characters, kind of felt a bit underwhelming. So basically, if you aren't taking Divergent chapters and you're taking, the classic characters in the Space Marine book, you pretty much get to add an OC to whatever unit they're in. Lysander of the Fists and the Terminators go to OC2, and then you've got good old Phyros putting his heavy intercessors in OC3. Khan Outriders go to 3. Shrike Flying go to 2.
Notably, Khan is not the unit he's leading since he's on foot, because they still can't figure out White Scars go on bikes.
Corsaro Khan is the foot guy?
Yeah.
But it specifically says Outrider Squad.
Yeah. It's a non-character models in Outrider Squad units. It's not what he's leading.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I was reading the con again, because I'm like, how would he work? Because White Scars is based on bikes, but they've never made a bike character in the modern era.
Oh, so if you have Lysander, just all of your Terminators across the board get +1 OC. And Phyros, same thing. All of your heavy intercessors are 3 OC. Oh, interesting. So it rewards you not just for them leading those things, but for you bringing them, a lot of them, in your army, which for a lot of these people is kind of what you want to do. Because like Fist player, well, I guess Lysander is not one of the doesn't have like heavy intercessors or whatever, but like Phyros, if you want like a lot of heavy intercessors, like that's a big change. And the heavy intercessors got a lot of changes, in fact.
I'm really glad they did not do this for the Salamanders.
So that the Infernus Marines
no,
got
they
2
did.
OC.
I had to scroll down. Vulcan's there.
Why are you so worried about that?
Why would I be worried about Infernus squads? That definitely didn't get crazy buffed.
It's just one more AP.
It's one little AP. What could it do, new Space Marine detachment?
Your Pyroblaster now has AP -1.
Yeah. It's not like you get +1 to wound on the Pyro. Oh. Well, they went up.
Ignores cover torrent. Should be fine.
They went up in points. But also, another really important thing to note, fire discipline got changed. You no longer get your crit 5s. You just re-roll your advance rolls because it's in the Dev Doctrine, which is very good. A lot better than a 40-point enhancement weighing you down.
Yeah, that it just needed to change, so.
What else we got here?
The heavy intercessor weapons also changed. They're heavy bolt rifle.
Heavy intercessors are like a legitimate threat now and don't do an average of 0 damage per turn. The Infernus Squad, as we said, got an AP. The big one, as we were hinting at before, of, hey, bikes, right? Those memes. Outrider Squad, delete Turbo Boost, and instead they get Thunderous Impact. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if that unit made a charge move, improve the strength and damage characteristic of those attacks by 1. That's a lot of damage.
Was it 411 to 512? Which, especially if you're +1 to wounding it with an Oaths of Moment target, that's a huge breakpoint.
Or you're playing Blood Angels.
Well, then you're not getting the +1 to wound.
Yeah, but instead on Blood Angels, you play Liberator Assault Group. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is selected to fight, if that unit made a charge move this turn, until the end of phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristic and 2 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in that unit. Your chainswords are now Thunder Hammers for your Outriders.
Seems pretty good.
I mean, aren't Thunder Hammers damaged? No, they're damaged too. They just have dev wounds, is right. I guess they're your chainswords and our power fists, I guess.
Oh, shut up. The point is, it's cooler to be a Thunder Hammer.
It's always cooler to be a Thunder Hammer, okay? That's why one faction doesn't have them anymore, and it's very sad.
Salt in that wound.
But yeah, so Outriders, unmemed. They are a legitimate thing now.
I mean, still memed. Look at the fucking model. I don't give a shit, dude.
It still will suck having to drive them around buildings manually, but like, other than that.
Totally random. This is like not a thing that actually actually matters at all. But intercessors have an ability where they double their shots if they fire all at one thing, with their bolt rifles at least, not with their grenade launchers and stuff. I'm pretty sure it does not matter at all, but 5 intercessors is like 80 points, and dunking out 20 shots and a grenade into chaff is, like if you need clear, awesome. You need clear chaff and screens. Like, it's also just kind of cool. Like, that's a cool ability. That's a cool ability. It's like, oh, I double up my shots. I'm going hard on killing stuff. Like, I don't think anyone's running to buy them because of that, but it is kind of cool.
But like, it makes that like bolt rifle feel like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah, a little bit.
Bricky, you will be happy to know that Reaver squads are officially OP. They got a whole AP.
I do, and they also went up in points. I do think Reavers were actually being used a bit because they were cheap as hell and you could just like deep strike them and do actions. But yeah, hey, Infernus Marines got 1 AP. What are you so worried about?
It does mean that Reavers now actually hit like assault intercessors, which is really nice. Plus, technically their combat knives have precision, so like kind of scary on occasion.
It can genuinely mean something. There's a lot of nerfs in Space Marines in general. I mean, most of them are acceptable. Like Calgar went up, and I kind of took them long enough, if I'm being honest. Guilliman went up 60, but considering you're doubling the new oaths, it kind of makes sense. Ventress went up. The Intercessor Squad, or the heavy one, went up. But for the most part, all of these changes are really, really good.
I have a single worry. Okay, I have 2 worries. One is the detachment that came out today. We're not going to talk about that today, though.
It's a fucking meme.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Hey, Stern Guard got full rerolls to wound on their oaths target, which you are also currently +1 to wounding. It'd be hilarious if there was a 5-up criticals detachment that could possibly happen. Hey, dipshit, check this out.
But my other concern that's not that detachment is we were just saying how it's not fun that the Triumph was an auto take and all that, and how we prefer where you don't have a specific name character you must take to play your faction. It's going to be real rough because Guilliman fucks, canonically.
Allegedly.
But also in combat.
But yeah, also combat. He already is pretty good stat-wise there, and now doubling up oaths and getting CP back, well, sort of, it's cheapening CP. Those combined with the new mega oaths make me question, like, are we going to see it where we went from everyone's just playing Dark Angels so they can get access to 1 broken character to everyone's just playing Ultramarines because they're playing Guilliman?
Maybe, but he did go up 60 points.
That's the only thing that would save him from this fate, I think, is his points high enough where he is not going to be considered that often.
This is kind of like a non sequitur, but I do think it's an important thing to note. It just bugs me a little bit. It's cool that they changed to the master-crafted heavy bolt rifle for the Gravis Armor Captain, the flat damage 3. That's awesome. It makes him stand out with the squad he's leading. Unfortunately, the heavy bolt rifles have assault and heavy on them, and he doesn't. So if you're advancing them, you're just never shooting him ever because he can't fire.
Oh, that's weird.
So that's a little annoying. I don't like that, but it was a bit of insight, of foresight, and I'm like, oh, that is cool. They made it a little bit better because of that. And then he's not going to really shoot it when you want to advance and shoot it, so that's a little annoying.
I mean, he already has a 2-up.
The heavy wouldn't matter, but the assault could have been tacked on there.
But I don't know. I mean, that librarian attachment that Space Marines got is like, I can feel the envy from Psyker players.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah, so is Thousand Suns. It's like we already had
fuck
spells.
you.
We're just happy that everyone else gets some. Grey Knights, however.
I don't even want to hear Thousand Suns players bitching about Psychic.
No, it's fine. This is my I have no problem with Space Marines getting a Psychic detachment. That's great. How's it going, Grey Knights?
Like, that is a cool detachment. It is. Absolutely. Hands down.
It's a little overtuned, but it's a cool detachment.
Yeah, and also, this is my own personal thing. A lot lately, I've been doing some AdRec episodes, and we've been talking about the Rogue Trader and Dark Heresy tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
And your character can have spells, and they're part of the telekinesis and biomancy disciplines and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And some of them get pretty insane, but it's just really cool to see hey, they made this attachment and they're going through the disciplines of the various psychics. That's just that's cool,
It's cool. It really is.
That's a badass way to do stuff. So I did like that.
Overall, I mean, I think the Space Marine changes are really quite good, especially for internal balance. We'll see about the problem stuff, especially the new detachment and its raw power output. But like in general, this is a pretty clean way of making it like, don't just pick the best, Black Templars or Blood Angels or whatever based on rules. Like there is a reason to not do that.
And I've got to say, I like that they didn't just lock them out like we thought they were going to do. Like, we didn't even, spend time brainstorming other ways they would do it. We just assumed they would use the hammer. So this data slate has been full of clever little fixes, making bad detachments good again, thinking about how to entice you to play Space Marines in various ways, using the carrot rather than the stick.
I think a lot of these changes for Space Marines are going to help when we look at Space Marine win rate type stuff, the data set is so polluted.
Yeah, that is wrong, straight up.
Because so many problems of the sub factions and detachments, and then there's just the amount of skill variation between players for Space Marines.
What did Tyler call it last episode? Midwestern LVO dads?
Yep. Wait, and good on them.
I think these changes are really going to help players who have been struggling a bit, even though but Space Marines is doing okay from a win. And it's some Space Marine players with their lists are doing great. That's fine. I'm struggling right now. Okay. I think this helps.
Yeah. Let's say you're an idiot and you own 25 heavy intercessors. Not like anybody we know who is currently painting them as Alpha Legion. Couldn't be me.
Wouldn't possibly be.
Not my love of Gravis. But let's say you're that dumbass. Hey, they're a lot less embarrassing than they were when I bought them.
Oof, thank God. I only own 20 of them.
That is honestly hilarious.
I won't lie. I wouldn't have minded that damage too when I took them to the tournament with Torgaradon attached to them. Wouldn't have mind that +1 to wound either. But beggars and choosers and all that type of thing.
It is also nice to see the BS 3-up on a heavy. We don't have to be stuck at 4-ups for that.
Yeah, well the heavy bolter. Yeah, it's a 3-up now. It's good.
It's just nice.
Yeah, this whole data slate, first things first, formatting. I mean, I don't think they need to make any other changes to the format.
There's a few things I would enjoy seeing, particularly because of rules that have gone through several iterations and you're like, man, what the fuck are we at right now? kind of thing. But it's good.
I have one wish. If you remove something from a data slate, just add a different highlight for this is gone now, so that we don't have to hunt around and remember, wait, wasn't there something here that's not here now? Like we were doing with all of the changes to the core stratagems and everything before they got made core.
But yeah, no, if you don't make any changes, it'll be okay.
If this was the standard with the points and the highlighted in green and the red and all that stuff, I would not be upset. I am okay with this being the final bit. We still have plenty of issues with the free rules, how the app does things, the codex stuff. There's plenty of problems with that still.
Please don't make me check 25 PDFs every update to make sure that something didn't get a random errata that drastically changes the balance of it.
Yes, that's its own major issue that needs to be discussed. But luckily, this time around, it's almost nothing but good. Internal balance got a massive win, and in the right ways. There are very few changes I disagree with. I think it's really just the Sisters one, and we need the data to be sure if I'm even right.
The Sisters is a pretty drastic change, but hopefully it's not too bad. And it should be it's fixable with the next balance data slate. If the numbers turn out to be oh yeah, no, Sisters doesn't play like Sisters should.
Yeah, true.
Especially because yeah, we're getting them more regularly than the twice a year or whatever the fuck. So yeah, overall positive thoughts from everybody, I think, here.
I'm extremely positive. I think more than anything, I'm very, very positive. It's just late and I'm tired.
It's later here. Also, everyone knows I'm always positive.
I honestly, a bit of my positivity is coming from the fact that Grotmus is a thing, and I'm not I'm stuck on the same detachment for the next 4 years.
Yeah, it's hard to be a sourpuss right now when we're actually getting things every day. There's something to look forward to in 40K right now. And we got a good data slate in general. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good.
It's all looking up. It's all looking Millhouse.
We got announcements that balance will not be delayed by 6 months if something is wrong. Lots of winning news. All right, that's enough rambling, though. It is time for us to get out of here. Bricky, before we go, where can everyone find you?
I'm at Bricky. Dude, what do you want? Like, it's Bricky.
You could at least chill for Adric, talk about how you might have had a guest this week.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
How you have more important guests coming on next week.
We're small fish in a big pond, you know? Like we don't have pull like that, man. We're just here loving the same thing all of you are all loving.
You just got a weird nerd in a white t-shirt this week. Next week, you get the famous hosts of Poorhammer instead.
Actually, I think we might need to delay that for the week after that.
Oh, okay. We're not good enough anymore. Sorry, we didn't bring in the critical money.
Well,
all right,
unfortunately,
wrap it up. We're done.
It's my 4-year anniversary.
I know where I can buy a white shirt. Do I need to do that? I can go buy a white t-shirt.
With what? Your hand?
4-year anniversary of the podcast, Dick.
Oh.
What?
Anyway, roll credits.